Hey everyone, this is Reshma from Edureka, and today's tutorial is what is Tableau. So we're going to learn about Tableau. Thank you all the attendees for joining this session. If you all can hear me properly, drop me a confirmation on the chat window. Okay, so Akshay and Anna are saying that they can hear me properly. Okay, I've got some confirmations. So this is the agenda for today. At first, we'll have a brief introduction to Tableau and visual data analytics. Then we'll learn why to choose Tableau. We'll understand data visualization and data perception in detail. After that, we'll learn how to connect data onto Tableau and how to use Tableau, use filters, how to group data, how to represent data in Tableau. So is the agenda clear to everyone? All right. So let us first get introduced to visual analysis. So visual analysis means gaining insights from a visual interface. And in order to gain the right insight and knowledge from a data source, we should be able to represent the data visually as accurate as possible. So what you see in front of you is the wheel of how you can represent data visually in the most appropriate manner. So the first step is to acquire the data or to understand what data you're dealing with. Then you should filter out the data to select the correct parameters which will be able to represent your data in a more insightful and meaningful way. Then you should take steps to enhance your data to make it visually attractive. Then tune it to gain the insight or to make the inference that you want to, and finally deliver the data. So this is the cycle of visual analysis, or these are the steps that you should follow in order to represent your data visually as accurate as possible. And now let us understand how do we perceive data. Because unless we understand the visual perception of human beings, we won't be able to understand or we won't be able to make the right choice of how to represent our data. So now let's do an exercise. So what you see in front of you now is a series of numbers. I'm asking you to count the number of fives in this sequence. Just go ahead and tell me how many fives can you find in this sequence. You can pause your screen and take your time. So guys, can you give me some answers if any of you have been able to do it? Okay, so Akshay is saying there are 18. So Anna is saying 16. Okay. And now tell me how many fives are there. So yeah, now I'm getting answers of almost 18, 18, 18. So let me tell you that this is the same sequence, but you can see the difference. I've only bolded out the 5 and I've darkened the color of 5. So now you guys tell me which was easier, which took less time to count the number of fives. Yeah, so definitely the second one took lesser time because this was visually more perfect, or this was visually helpful for us to count the number of fives. Whereas here you might miss out fives because the letters are quite jumbled and they're like cramped all together, so this makes it harder. But when you bold out the fives and you enhance the color of 5, you can see how easier this is to grasp on the data. So this is the thing that you need to understand, how your mind actually perceives the data. Now the first one is called attentive learning. This is where you have to put on a lot of attention to find out the data or to gain insights or extract the right knowledge from it. The next one is pre-attentive. This does not require that much attention like the one before, and this makes it very easier for us to grasp on. So this is the baseline that you need to understand when you're trying to represent your data. Try to understand the ways and the possibilities about how you can represent your data in a more informative way. So I hope that you have understood the purpose of giving you this exercise and to why I'm telling you about attentive and pre-attentive. See, the more you learn with less effort is beneficial, right? So you have to find out ways in how you can represent or give more insights and extract more knowledge with just one visualization. So any questions till now? All right, no questions, as I expected, because this is quite simple. So now here is an example. So the chart that you see, so I've represented the sales of a particular company, and the sales that they count are divided into first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter. So they make an analysis of their sales per quarter. So these are the yearly graphs or the yearly pie charts for the consecutive 3 years from 2014, 15, and 16. Now I have represented this in a pie chart. So if you could see, these two almost look same. If I ask you that question, that for the third quarter, when did this company have largest sale? Whether it was in 2014, 15, or 16. Give me some answers, guys. I'm asking you for the third quarter. Okay, so I've got an answer. So most of you have given 2014. Now tell me the difference between 2015 and 2016 for the third quarter. If you see, it is very hard to detect the size. You have to observe it very minutely. Then only you'll find that 2015 is slightly little bigger than the slice in 2016. And similarly, if I ask you for 2014, 15, and 16 for the first quarter, can you tell me which one of them have the highest sales for the first quarter now? Okay, so most people have given 2015. Someone has also said 2014. So, well, I can see that some people are confused even though they have given me an answer because the differences in the slices are very hard to detect. You have to pay a lot of attention. Again, this is an attentive perception. So this is another way of representing the same thing. Now you can tell me. So the gray bars over here represent 2016 sales, the pink ones for 2015 and blue ones for 2014. Now if you compare, and I have laid out all the quarters together to compare each of this. So like I was asking for first quarter, which one was the highest? So you can clearly see that 2015 had the highest sales were in first quarter, whereas in second quarter 2016 had it, in third quarter 2014, and in fourth quarter also 2014. So this is very much easy. Now you can just look at this bar diagram and answer me in just 1 or 2 seconds, right? Whereas when you were looking at the pie chart, it took you more time. So you can see that making insights from this diagram was far more helpful and far more quicker than the pie chart that we just saw. So this is the fundamental thing that you need to understand when you are trying to use Tableau to represent your data, because there are going to be a lot of fields that you'll be dealing with. Your data set will have numerous amount of fields. You have to extract the right ones. You have to select the right ones with which you can represent more information in just one visualization. So I hope that you've all understood this. I'll move on to the next topic and we'll get introduced to Tableau. So Tableau is a groundbreaking data visualization software created by Tableau Software, and it is by far the most popular data visualization tool that is used for business intelligence. Almost every company uses Tableau. You can use it for different purposes, and Tableau can connect to any kind of data source. It can connect to an Excel sheet, it can connect to a text file, it can connect to any server, an Oracle server, Amazon Redshift, anything, you name it. It will extract all the data from any kind of data source. And then you can later on use Tableau for data blending, for real-time collaborations, and which is what makes Tableau very unique. Tableau is used worldwide for both business and academic purposes. Because with Tableau, you can create and distribute interactive and shareable dashboards, and this depicts the trends, variations, and density of data, which you can represent in form of graphs and charts. And that is exactly what we are also going to do in Tableau. We are going to take a data set and we're going to represent the data in a more informative manner by creating charts and bar graphs or line graphs. So we'll be doing that in a while. So any more questions about Tableau, don't worry, we'll be learning more about Tableau anyhow, but still if you have anything in mind, you can ask me right now. Okay, no doubts. So now let us take a look at the Tableau product family. So the Tableau software that you'll be using for data visualization is the Tableau Desktop. Now the Tableau Desktop has got different versions that you can use. So these are the Tableau Reader, Tableau Public, Tableau Server, and Tableau Online. So let me first tell you about Tableau Desktop, what you can do with a Tableau Desktop. So Tableau Desktop is a self-service business analytics and data visualization that anyone can use. It can translate pictures of data into an optimized database queries. It can connect directly to data from your data warehouse for live up-to-date data analysis. It can perform queries without writing a single line of code. It can also import data into Tableau's data engine from multiple sources and integrate them as well. You can also combine multiple views in an interactive dashboard with help of Tableau Desktop. And another version of Tableau Desktop is the Tableau Server. Now this is a more enterprise-based Tableau Desktop. So enterprises have to buy a Tableau Server. So large enterprises usually buy Tableau Server and they use it for publishing dashboards with the Tableau Desktop, and they can share them throughout the organization with a web-based Tableau Server. What it does is that it leverages fast databases through the live connections. Whereas Tableau Online over here, this is a hosted version of Tableau Server, and it makes business intelligence faster and easier than before. You can publish Tableau dashboards with Tableau Desktop, and then you can share them with your colleagues or friends. And then we come to Tableau Reader. Now this is just a readable version. It is a free desktop application, and it will just enable you to open and view the visualizations built in the Tableau desktop. So someone else would be building it. You'll just be able to open it and view it. You can filter and drill down the data, but you can't edit or perform any kind of interactions. This completely depends on how the author has represented it. So you cannot make any changes, but you can only use filters on that. So these are the versions that you get in the Tableau product family. And right now the latest version of Tableau Desktop is the Tableau 10.2. Okay, so Akshay is asking which is the best among them. So you can directly download Tableau Desktop and you can register it. You'll get a license key, or even if you just want to try it first, they'll give you a trial version which is for 15 days. So you can use Tableau Desktop. It has got all the features. The Tableau server is for enterprise level. So if you just want it for individual use, you don't have to buy a Tableau server because it is also costly. So Tableau Public is something where you create visualizations, but you cannot keep it with you. You have to publish it and everyone can see it. So it's up to you. I'll just suggest you to go and download Tableau Desktop, and I will advise you to download the latest version, which is 10.2. So Akshay, which are you going to choose after this? Yeah, so he's going to go with Tableau Desktop. Good choice. So we'll move on and let us see why Tableau. So these are the pros of Tableau, or the features of Tableau, because of which it makes Tableau very easy and very popular. So the first thing, as I was already saying, easy, the first pro is its ease of use. Well, Tableau is a very interactive tool. It is very easy to learn and very easy to use. You'll know that when I show you how Tableau looks like and how to make visualizations with Tableau. So you can find all the options in front of you. It is very easy to represent your data. The only thing that you need to know is how to do it, not how to use Tableau, but how to represent your data. So you have to be able to choose the right options from Tableau. So it's a direct connect and go. It means that it can connect to any kind of data source, which I already mentioned about. And also you can make different kind of connections. You can extract the data from a particular data source and make changes onto it, or make visualizations out of it, or you can make a live connection with it. It is also perfect for mashups. It means that you can join different data sets together. You can include and integrate a lot of data sources all together to analyze it and represent them visually. Because sometimes it is not enough to just take into account one kind of data set. There might be similar data sets which you want to analyze together, and with Tableau you can do that. And the best practices in a box. So Tableau comes in packaged with everything you need. It has got different filters. If you want to sort your data, it has got an option for that too. And there are many other visualization options that you'll get with Tableau. You can represent even geographical locations with Tableau. So everything that you might need to represent your data, that is there in Tableau. I'm pretty sure that there will be nothing that you'll say that, oh my God, this is not there. It would have been useful if this was there to make this visualization look good. Because I'll tell you, you can use shapes, you can represent it with different shapes, you can even download your custom shapes and represent it in the visualization. So that is why Tableau has become so much popular, because of all these features that Tableau has. So now let us learn how to use Tableau. So the first thing that you need to learn is to connect to a data source. So when you open Tableau, the first thing that you need to do is connect to a data source. And you can connect it to any kind of file, whether it's an Excel file, text file, JSON file, Access file, spatial file, statistical file. If you also want to connect it to a server, you can connect it to a Tableau server, the Microsoft SQL server, MySQL, Oracle, Amazon Redshift, and there are even more options. Well, in Tableau, you also have a sample databases. So if you're using Tableau for the first time and you don't have a data set yet, you can use their own default data set as well. So there is a Superstore data set, and I guess there are 2 or 3 more that you can use. And there are different ways to connect to your data. So you can select how you want to connect with your data. You can connect live, It means that connecting directly to your data and the speed of your data source will determine the performance. You can import all the data into Tableau's data engine, or you can import only some of the data or the fields or parameters that you might need in order to make your visualizations. So you can choose from any of these three options. So the second two options can be also called as in-memory connection. And in order to make connections to a database, Tableau has got an amount of optimized data connectors. There are also common ODBC connectors designed for systems without native connector, and it offers two modes and supports of interacting with data. So as I told you, the first one is live connection and the second one is in-memory, where you can choose to import all data or import some of the data that you might need. And one great thing about connecting to data with Tableau is that you can switch among a live connection or an in-memory connection whenever you want to. So let me tell you what happens in a live connection. So when you try to connect live with your data source, the data connectors of Tableau control your available data infrastructure and they transfer dynamic SQL or MDX statements straight to the source database except importing every data. And when you choose to import data, it presents a fast in-memory data engine to optimize for analytics. You can connect your data and after that, with just one click, you can extract your data to get in-memory in Tableau. So what happens here is that the Tableau's data engine fully consumes your entire system to attain fast queries and it can answer on millions of rows of data on commodity hardware. So these are the ways to connect to your data. And you don't have to worry about how the data connectors work, you just have to worry about how you're going to represent it. So even if I'm saying like a lot of complex sentences, don't worry. All you have to do is just click on your data source and then Tableau will extract all the data that you want and you can start working on it. It is just a matter of 1 or 2 clicks. And when you're connecting to data sources, it doesn't mean that you can connect it to only one. I was already talking about mashups, which means connecting different data sources together. And this is how you can connect different data sources together. So when you are trying to include more than one data source, it will give an option of how you want to combine them. So these are the joins that are available. You might have seen this in the SQL joins. This is exactly the same. You can either choose a left join, a right join, an inner join, and a full outer join. So the left join means everything from the data set, including the common one from the other data set. The right join means everything from the second database and the common ones with the first database. The inner join means only the common part of both the two databases, and full outer join means all the fields of both the databases. So this comes in very handy when you want to analyze a bigger portion of something. Let's say that at one point you are analyzing about the cricket teams of a particular country, and then you decide that you have to analyze about the other sports too. So there might be some fields like player name or player ID which will be unique, or this field name will be similar but the data will be unique from the two databases or more, so you can use joins like this. So the visualizations that you have already created before, and if you want to integrate the same with a different data source, you can do that using the joins. So any question till now? Okay, so Anna is asking, can we join more than 2 databases? Yes, Anna, you can definitely do that. So thank you, Anna, for the question. So if you go ahead and click on the Show Me Data pane on Tableau Desktop, you can find the visualizations or the layout of the visualizations of how you can represent your data. So they can be in the form of heat maps, tree maps, in bar diagrams, in pie charts, or even you can represent it according to geographical locations. So you have the liberty to choose how you want to represent it. But sometimes it may happen that some of the options might be unavailable for your data. And this completely depends on the data source that you're dealing with. So for some data, if there are no fields for geographic locations, you can't represent it in the geographic locations, or if there is a data or the parameters that you're dealing with does not specify anything about density, you can't use heat maps. So I'll be showing you when to use which of the maps and how you can choose the correct visualization or the Collect Show Me option from the data pane. And then there are filters. Now filtering means only selecting the parameters or the fields with which you want to represent or visualize your data with. And there are three types of filters, or you can say there are three different ways to limit the data that is going to be displayed on your graph. So the first one are SQL custom filters, the second one are context filters, and the third one are traditional filters. So what is a custom SQL filter? So a custom SQL filter is something like where there is a where clause, and it is placed in the SQL that queries the data to be used in the workbook. Because behind the Tableau dashboard on which we are working with, there is an SQL query going on when you select a filter. So it will specify a where clause in that. So filter is a Tableau term, and it technically applies only to context and traditional filters. But however, the custom SQL filter emulates the behavior of a global context filter, so we will refer to it as such. So now, since I was already talking about context filter, what is a context filter? It is a filter in Tableau that affects the data that is transferred to each individual worksheet. So context filters are great when you want to limit the data seen by the worksheet. So when a worksheet queries the data source, it creates a temporary flat table and it is used to compute the chart. This temporary table includes all the values that are not filtered out by either the custom SQL or the context filter. So just when the custom SQL filters, your goal is to make this temporary table as small as possible. So now let me tell you about the traditional filters. And traditional filter is exactly what most people think of when they think of filters. So when a Tableau is creating the visualization, it will check to see if a value is filtered out by a traditional filter. And it is not performed at the table level, and it is very slow among all the filters. But let me tell you that it does have an advantage because creating a traditional filter is very easy. You just simply have to drag a field and drop it onto the filter shelf. So I'll be showing you all in the demo where to drag your parameters or different fields from and where to drop it. So all this filtering that we're doing, it is for enhancing the view that we're going to make. And there are other ways for enhancing the view too. The next one is representing it with hierarchies. Now in order to enhance your data, you can use sorting too, but sorting may not always be the right option for representing your data. So while there are other methods to also enhance your data, sorting can be one option. But sorting cannot always be the right choice when you want to represent it. So you also have to be able to drill down to granularity of your detail too. And hierarchies can provide a way to do that. So you can start with a high-level overview of data and then drill down to lower levels of detail on demand. It means that you can represent even the granular form of data by hierarchies. So if you see in the diagram over here, so there will be a category, so this is going to be the high-level overview, and there would be subcategories about your data too. For example, maybe you are representing your data by countries, and if you want to go down to granular level, and you can define it by, let's say, states in the country, and then you can drill down even more to cities and then to street names in the cities, like that. So hierarchies are very important as well. So the other way of doing it is grouping. The grouping signifies all the related fields that you can use to represent something. So for an example, let me give you the example of representing the marks card of a particular student. Now, if it's a high school, you know that all the subjects differ in each of the standards. So what you can do is that you can group the similar subjects for 8 standard, then you can group the different subjects for 9 standard together, and thereby 10 standard also. So you can filter out the field names of the particular subjects, and you can group them as class 9 subjects, and you can group them as standard 8 subjects, standard 9 subjects, and standard 10 subjects. So grouping also allows you to organize and manage your fields as well. And next are sets. So sets are nothing but they are a collection of dimension members. So dimensions in Tableau are used to add level of detail onto your data, and sets is a collection of different dimensions together. So I'll be telling you what dimensions and measures are, so you'll understand sets in an even better way when I tell you what dimensions are. So for now, you can just understand sets are nothing but a group of dimensions, which are nothing but different fields. Now let us see the different data types in Tableau. So the first one is Boolean. So as you all know what Boolean is, it is either a true or false value. The next one are whole numbers. Like for an example, you can see like 300, 400, starting from 0 to infinity, all the whole numbers. Then you can also represent decimal numbers in Tableau as well. Then you have got a data type which is called date or date and timestamp. It means that it will specify the month, day, year, and also the time. So this is represented in this format. Next, it can also represent text or string. And this is one data type which is very unique, which is geographic values. So if your field ever contains something like country, city, it will auto-detect it, the latitude and longitude measure, and this is auto-generated by Tableau, and it will detect it as a geographic value, and this is where you can use the geographic representation in the Show Me panel. So whenever you'll have a field like city, region, countries, or anything that is related to a location, you can see that it will automatically generate that visualization for you. So these are the data types that you can use in Tableau. Okay, now let us talk about measures and dimensions. So what is a dimension? A dimension is a field that is an independent variable. It is used to add more levels of detail onto your data, and it is usually a text. So whenever your data source will detect any kind of text, the field that is only filled with text, it will auto-detect this as a dimension, and if there are numbers, it will auto-detect it as measures. So if sometimes there are numbers that you wanted to represent as a text, for example, let's say the year, you don't want to perform calculations on it. This is a year, and you can treat it as a dimension or a text. So you can also explicitly define which is a dimension and measure in Tableau. So dimensions are used to add level of detail. Now measures are just numbers. So let's consider the same example again of a class of students and their marks. So their marks, since they are numbers, they will be treated as measures. And dimensions could be the name of subjects. So if you just say a mark of a particular student, that makes no sense. But let's say that you add something like the mark of a particular student in science, mark of a particular student in social studies, marks of a particular student in literature. So that will add levels of granularity and levels of detail. So that is what dimensions can be used for. So any questions about measures and dimensions? I'm pretty sure that it will clear all your doubts once I show you the demo. But still, if you have any questions, you can ask me right now. All right, so no questions. So now let us see how successful Tableau has been in the past years. So this is Gartner's Magic Quadrant. And this is the Magic Quadrant that Gartner created for the business intelligence and analytics platform. And you can see Tableau lies among the leaders quadrant, and this is the ability to execute, so this lies on top. And let me tell you that Tableau has been leading in Gartner's Magic Quadrant since the past 3 years. So definitely Tableau is the winner over here. Also, let us see what different companies who have been using Tableau has got to say about it. So there are articles published about Deloitte about how they're using Tableau. So there was something like Deloitte builds a culture of enablement with thousands of Tableau users. The same with data analytics. So the Finalis scores gold with data insight, and they're all using Tableau. So you can see how popular Tableau has been and still is. And I'm pretty sure that Tableau will stay popular because you've already seen what can we do with Tableau. So now it's time to show you all the demo of how to use Tableau. And for that, we will take into account the US crime dataset. So this dataset contains different incidents, different crime incidents. So we'll take a look at what this dataset contains, and we'll make analysis of this dataset by making visualizations in Tableau. So let's get started. So this is my Tableau desktop. The version is 10.2. So the first thing that I need to do, I need to connect to my database. And here you can see all the options or all the kind of data sets that you can go connect to. You can connect it to any kind of server. You can connect it to a local file that is in your system. So my file is a CSV file, so I'm going to go ahead and click on More. And this is my file. So I'll go select Update Now, and I have chosen a live connection. So these are the different fields in my data set. So I've got a record ID, the agency code, agency name, type, the city, the state, year, month, incident. So these are all the different fields that we are going to work with. So it contains the crime type, whether the crime is solved or not, the victim sex, the victim race, victim ethnicity, the perpetrator, which is basically the killer. That's a fancy name for a killer. So this is all the killer details, the weapon, and it contains the crime records, in US across multiple years. So we'll go ahead and we'll play around with this data set. So next thing you need to do, you need to make a worksheet where you can create all those visualizations in. So here, just click on this, or we'll click on here to go to your worksheet. So just click on here to go to your worksheet. So this is your first sheet. And the first thing that I want to find out from this data set is which state has the maximum number of victims, or which state has the maximum number of crimes. And that we can find out by taking into account the victim count. We can see that how many people were killed. So the place or the state where maximum people were killed should be the highest crime state. So this is what we're going to find out, and these are dimensions, all the text fields and hierarchies. So we've got the measures here, which are numbers like victim count, age, perpetrator count and age, and incident. So now I want a geographical visualization. So for that I have got my geographical measures. So these are the geographical values that will help me to plot the visualizations on a world map. So here I'll just drag and drop longitude onto columns and latitude onto rows. And then let me select state and put it onto detail. And let me just take victim count and put it on color. And now you can see that the colors are different. Somewhere the blue is darker, and the place where the blue is the darkest is California, and the victim count is 11,450 here. Next one might be Texas with 7,048 victims. Now this shows the overall victim count across all years, and if you want to see it just for a particular year, so we can add filters for that because we have got a dimension which is year. So you just drag and drop year onto filter, and you can select if you want it for a range of values or at least at most. So you can just drag it and see the view across 10 years or 5 years altogether. So just click on OK, and then just click on show filter. So this is going to be something like that. So I want it from 2000 to 2014. So still California has got the highest victim count with 4,002. And let's say that you want discrete, that is you want it to see for one particular year, then just go ahead and select any year, let's say 1980, click on OK. Click on show filter. So now you have just selected 1980. Now, so New York has the highest number of victims in 1980 with a count of 426. And then comes California with 322. Then I guess Texas with 230 and Florida with 148. So this is how you can use different filters, and we found out that California has the highest number of victims, so the crime rate is really high in California. So now we are going to find out that what are the weapons that are used most in order to kill people. So we'll find out the favorite weapon of the killers. So we'll just make another worksheet. So now I'm going to do the same thing. So I'm going to put longitudes and latitudes in columns and rows. So now again I'm going to select victim count onto colors, and then in detail I'm going to put city. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to change the view. Okay, so since this won't give me any kind of picture, even if I select weapon over here, so I think I should go ahead and select different views in order to understand or identify that which were the objects or which were the weapons that are used the most. So now I'll just go ahead and select the bubbles, packed bubbles. So this is what you see. Now let us take in weapons and put it onto colors. So now you can see that all these colors, which is like teal blue, I'm not good with colors, but this blue over here, which is quite different from this blue. So this blue occupies a lot of color, and this is handgun. And this blue represents handgun, and in California, you see that the victim count in California with handgun is almost 6,566. So out of all the 11,000 people were killed, 6,566 were killed by the handgun. And apart from that, a lot of people are killed by knives also. So this blue over here, this represents knife. The pink one over here is unknown, which is a light pink, and the deep pink, which is a deeper color of pink, this represents rifle. So the red here is poison. The purple one represents suffocation. The blackish purple one represents a shotgun. So the green one is fire, and this green one is a firearm. So even if it doesn't give you a clear picture, you can go ahead and change the views. You can also try a tree map over here. So this is another insight that we made. So now let us find out that which city has the most amount of perpetrators. Now this is going to be very similar to the one that we find out where it has the maximum number of victims. So instead of victim count, we'll just go ahead and select perpetrator count. So we'll do the same thing again. So again, it is showing that California has the maximum number of perpetrators, but we want to find out that whether the perpetrator count or the victim count are directly correlated or not. So we want to find out that in a state where there are more victims, are there more killers or not? Or is it something like there is one person who is going around and killing everybody? So we'll find that out. So in order to do that, so let's go and create another worksheet. So here let me just find out state and put it onto columns. And in row I want perpetrator count. And I also want the victim count. So you can see that there is a direct correlation, but if you want to observe it properly, so you can just go ahead and do this. You can represent it in a dual axis. So now you can see that the orange ones represent victim count and the blue ones represents perpetrator count. And let us go ahead and change it. So let me just put a line. So now you can see that the blue ones, which represents the perpetrator count, and the orange portions represent the victim count. So you can see that there is a direct correlation. So it means that the murder scenario is something like 1-to-1. So one killer goes and kills one person. So there isn't much of a hint for someone to be a serial killer. So this is one more insight that you can make from this visualization. And finally, you can go ahead and create dashboards if you want to present it to someone. So these are the worksheets. You can also go ahead and rename these worksheets. So here it is, the rename sheet. So this is the, let me call it the highest victim. So similarly, you can go ahead and rename everything. So now if you want to include it in your dashboard, all you have to do is just drag and drop your sheets over here. So this was the one with the filters that we created. The filters will also be here. Then let me just drag and drop sheet number 2. You can also adjust the sizes. Let me close this data pane. Now there might be some space here also. Yeah, so you can also zoom in and zoom out with the dashboard over here. So if you want to present it to someone, you can show all your worksheets at once. So this is what you can do with Tableau. If you have any questions, or if you want me to do something more with this data set, you can tell me right now. So any questions till now? Alright, so no questions. Thank you for watching this tutorial, and thank you all the attendees for joining this session. If you want to ask any questions, or if there is any feedback that you want to give it to me, then kindly drop a comment in the comment section below. And I'll see you next time. Till then, happy learning.
I hope you enjoyed listening to this video. Please be kind enough to like it, and you can comment any of your doubts and queries, and we will reply to them at the earliest. Do look out for more videos in our playlist and subscribe to our Edureka channel to learn more. Happy learning!